Ayubowan, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the Paradise Island of Sri Lanka. I'm Imadri, and my colleague Lakshika will take you through the Sri Lanka tourism arrival guidelines for visitors. As we opened our doors to the world once again on 21st January 2021, we have pulled out all the stops, ensuring that every precautionary measure has been set in place to make your island getaway as safe and secure as possible. So over the course of this webinar, we'd like to bring your attention to the things you need to know for your safety as you make your way to Sri Lanka, while strictly adhering to the approved health and safety guidelines. So just a quick reminder that we want this session to be interactive and engaging at the end. So we have allocated about 5 to 10 minutes at the end for any questions. These questions will be answered by our panelists, which I will get to you in a bit. So please feel free to send them over any questions over the course of this webinar by hitting the question and answer button at the bottom of your dashboard. So now let me take this opportunity to show you an informative video explaining the procedures to be followed from the time of disembarking the flight until you meet your Jetwing airport representative in the arrival lobby of the airport, after which you will be in the care of Jetwing Travels. Ayubowan, welcome once again. During the course of this webinar, we'll be covering the following section as displayed on the screen here. We will first take you through the pre-arrival process at the airport and the on-arrival process once you're at the airport. Thereafter, we will take you through the check-in and process at the hotel. Next, we will also be covering the approved tourism sites that your guests can visit during their stay in Sri Lanka. We will also define what a level 1 hotel is, as some of you may already have heard about it, and we'll also wrap it up with general information that a guests do need when they are staying in Sri Lanka. So for more information, please feel free to log into www.jetwing.com. So a little bit about Jetwing and who we are. Jetwing is a family-owned Sri Lankan company with over 45 years of experience in the travel and hospitality industry. Today, integrating its core strength in tourism, including a diverse array of services ranging from outbound packages to ticketing and the best in inbound tours. So as you can see on the screen here, our comprehensive portfolio of companies include Sri Lanka TaylorMade, Jetwing Travels, Jetwing Eco Holidays, and Jetwing Adventures. Your speakers to you today is myself, Imadri, and my colleague Lakshika will take you through the course of this webinar. So our panelists today here at this webinar will be, as you can see on the screen, Mr. Ishant Gunawardana, General Manager, Sri Lanka TaylorMade and Jetwing Eco Holidays, and Head of Marketing, Jetwing Travels Private Limited. We also have Mr. Sriyantha Sampath, Manager, Sri Lanka TaylorMade. So we have allocated 5 to 10 minutes towards the end, and they will answer your questions. So now, without further ado, we would like to educate you on things you need to know for your safety as you make your way to Sri Lanka. I hope this will be a very insightful webinar, but in the meantime, we recommend that you read and understand the health guidelines prior to your guest visit. Please do visit www.srilanka.travel for further details. Now, let me hand over this presentation to my colleague Lakshika, who would like to enlighten our viewers about taking us through the pre-arrival guidelines. Over to you, Lakshika.
Thank you, Imadri. Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are keeping well. So I will be taking you through the pre-arrival guidelines when prepping for your visit to Sri Lanka. So the first thing you should know is that there's no restrictive quarantine period and no minimum number of days required. People from all countries are welcome unless it is specified. Currently, due to the prevailing health situation, visitors from UK will have a restriction. All travelers should undergo a PCR test and obtain a negative result 96 hours prior to boarding to their flight. And this is a mandatory requirement and needs to be reconfirmed with the relevant airline. Tourists can visit approved tourist sites under the safety of a bio bubble. It is a must that you stay in a level 1 safe and secure certified hotel during the first 14 days of your stay, and Emma will explain what a level 1 safe and secure hotel towards the latter part of this presentation. Moving on to the application of visa. All visas must be applied online through the Immigration ETA portal. Before you apply for your visa, you need to have a pre-purchase PCR test and a mandatory COVID-19 insurance cover, which you can purchase via a certified travel agent for now. Mandatory insurance cover will only cost $12 per month for a policy of $50,000, whereas a PCR test will cost $40 each. Besides the COVID insurance cover and the PCR test, a pre-confirmed hotel booking at a safe and secure level 1 hotel is for up to 14 days of your stay is required, and the hotel will issue a reference number which the guests need to include in their visa form under the section of contact details. There, you will be also asked to indicate your hotel name, address, and the reference number. So we also have a tourism mobile app in progress called Visit Sri Lanka. This will be incorporated into online visa application form and will be available on both Play Store and App Store in due course. So going forward, Payment for insurance and PCR test will be facilitated through the tourism mobile app. Turning our attention now to the PCR test. As I mentioned earlier, it is a must to have a negative PCR test result 96 hours prior to boarding the flight. The first PCR test in Sri Lanka would be on arrival at your hotel. Prior to the checking, that will be done. And the second PCR test will be conducted between the fifth and the seventh day. If your stay is for 7 days, it is a must that you pre-purchase 2 PCR tests. If your stay exceeds 7 days, you have to pre-purchase for 3 PCR tests. Like I mentioned, each PCR test is priced at $40. Currently, there are no exceptions for vaccinations. In the event of a positive test result, the initial isolation will be at the hotel. If necessary, guests will be transferred to a private hospital identified by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority. And the cost of the treatment will be covered via your COVID insurance, which is already paid for at the time of the visa application. So those are the pre-arrival guidelines we have up to date. Now Emma will take you through the on-arrival process. Over to you, Emma.
Thank you, Lakshika. So let me take you through the on-arrival process. So firstly, as you may know, Sri Lanka has two prominent the international airports. That is the Bandaranaike International Airport and the Mattala Airport. So all tourists will be welcome to arrive at the Bandaranaike International Airport and the Mattala Airport, which have been certified as safe airports by the Airport Council International. So guests need to thereafter submit a completed health declaration form to health counters at the airport. Upon completion, your immigration officers will check all documents, including the PCR report, travel insurance, travel or stay details, health counter clearance note, and any other relevant details. So upon completion of all this, the guests will meet their certified driver who they have booked via a certified travel agent at the airport. Your driver will take you to a hotel, which again has been pre-booked by the traveler beforehand. And there would be an on-arrival PCR test conducted at the hotel, and the test results will be released within 48 hours. So guests are not allowed to move to the next hotel until the test results are released. Now, let me take your attention to the process that is involved when you check into a hotel. So, as Lakshi mentioned before, guests are allowed to stay for any number of days with no minimum requirement. A pre-confirmed hotel booking is mandatory for the first 14 days in one or more level 1 hotel. So I will define what a level 1 hotel towards the latter part of this webinar. Moving on, change of hotels in the first 14 days is allowed only among level 1 hotels. That is very important to note. So after your guests check into their hotels, level 1 hotel rather, the guests are permitted to use all facilities within the premises of the hotel, including the pool, spa, but subject to adhering to general health guidelines. Another important feature to note is that guests are not permitted to move outside the hotel for a period of up to 14 days, except for approved tourist sites, which I will get onto a bit. But they would be done so under a protected biosecurity bubble. Finally, after the initial 14 stay at a certified level 1 hotel again, the guest is permitted to go into the community provided the PCR test results are negative and they are freely able to move into any accommodation of their choice. So another prominent topic to be brought here is the tourist sites that have been approved for our tourist visit. So following the negative on-arrival PCR test, guests are permitted to visit certain approved sites under a biosafety bubble. So as you can see on the screen, there have been 14 tourism sites that have been approved. So the first four sites, as you can see on the screen, are four UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Firstly, being the Sigiri Rock Fortress, the ancient city of Anuradhapura, excluding the visit to the sacred Sri Mahabodhi, which will not be permitted. Then we have the ancient city of Polonnaruwa and the luscious Singharaja rainforest. Then we'll take your attention to another few sites. Most of the national parks are open to tourists as well. As you can see on the screen, Yala, Minneriya, and Kaudula National Park, Udawalawe, and also Wilpattu will be open to tourists. Next, we have the final four sites that have been approved as well, taking you to Peradeniya Botanical Gardens in Kandy is allowed, and we have the latter three of wildlife sites, which, as you can see on the screen, Pinnavala Elephant Orphanage, Pinnavala the Zoo, Mirissa whale watching in Mirissa, and the Udawalawe Transit Center, Elephant Transit Center. So kindly note that most of these sites have specific time slots allocated for tourists to visit. So we will update you of the visiting times when we create the traveler's respective itinerary. So now moving on to another very prominent topic. What is a level 1 hotel, as most of you may have already heard about it. So let me first define what exactly is a safe and secure certified hotel. A safe and secure is a certificate issued to hotels in compliance with the COVID-19 health protocols and tourism operational guidelines. But what really constitutes a level 1 hotel? So a level 1 safe and secure certified hotel are accommodation service providers who will provide accommodation services exclusively for international tourists during the first 14 days of their stay. So it must be noted that this is a very important factor. The level 1 hotel cannot accept bookings from locals, that is Sri Lankans, and are also not allowed to hold any events or banquet functions for Sri Lankans. So that would be one of the most distinguishing factors for a level 1 hotel. And besides all that, level 1 hotels also provide certain services compared to other safe and secure certified hotels. For instance, an on-call doctor is a mandatory requirement. So another important feature about a level 1 hotel would be its unique QR code displayed so that guests may provide feedback, ample feedback on the health protocols. So we believe here also that the Sri Lanka Tourism also believes that this certification will serve as a mark of trust, safety, and assurance to all our international guests. So as you can see on the screen here, as of 15th January 2021, the total number of safe and secure level hotels equal to 55 hotels in total. So this has been updated regularly. You can also visit our Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority site to also note any other information and also about the hotels. Now let me hand over this webinar to Lakshika to conclude the rest. Lakshika, over to you.
Thank you, Madri. Just a quick reminder, if you have any questions, please do let us know via the Q&A button. We will get back to you at the end of this presentation. So now let's have a look at some general information that you must adhere during your stay in Sri Lanka. I'm sure all of you are familiar with most of the information given. So the first thing is you need to wear a mask at all times when in public. Also make sure to maintain a distance of 1.5 meters between two people when you're in the community. Guests should also Guests should also have an advanced transport plan arranged with the hotel or with the travel agent. Until 14 days from arrival, please make sure not to interact with the local community. Use of the public transport even after 14 days is discouraged, and guests are not allowed to get out of the vehicle for any photo stops. So this brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for staying till the end. I hope you had a thorough understanding about the guidelines. Now, this is the time to ask questions if you have. Please do let us know via the Q&A button. Also, you can get in touch with us via email as displayed on the screen, or you can connect with us via Facebook and Instagram. Before we commence with our Q&A session, we have a small video clip for you. I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you once again for tuning in. Now let me hand over to my colleague Chatumini to take us through the Q&A session.
Thank you, Lakshika. It's now time for the Q&A. We have allocated about 5 to 10 minutes for your questions, which will be answered by our panelists, Mr. Ishant Gunawardana and Mr. Shriyanta Sampath. Moving on to our first question, I'm going to direct this to Ishant. We have a question from Placid. Are the driver guides checked for COVID?
Yes, there is at the moment driver guides. There will be a check that will be done before the arrivals.
Okay, thank you, Ishant. We have another question. Shriyanta, this is for you. Is it the hotel staff taking the PCR test of the guest on arrival?
Yes, yes. Hotel staff, all the hotels have made arrangements to do a PCR test for all their staff.
We have another question. Which Jetwin hotels are safe and secure level 1 hotels?
At the moment, Jetwin Lagoon in Negombo and in Dambulla, Jetwin Lake, and in Kalutara, Mermaid.
I would like to repeat one question. The question is it the hotel staff taking the PCR test of the guests?
No. Once the booking is confirmed, the hotel inform the certified hospital, and then they come on arrival to the hotel and take the PCR test. It will take about 24 to 48 hours to release the report.
Thank you, Shriyanta. We have another question. I am a dual citizen, British, Sri Lankan, living in the UK. Are there any restrictions regarding coming to Sri Lanka on holiday or later permanently?
At the moment, there is. I think during the presentation we mentioned that at the moment from UK, yes, there is.
It also depends on the passport that you use. So if you come on your Sri Lankan passport, you will have to go under the normal quarantine procedure, which is separate. But if you use your foreign passport, then you'll have to go through this bubble system. But permanently coming later, there are no restrictions as such, as long as you follow the procedure.
Okay, thank you. We also have another question. Can you please clarify if a client who wants to stay less than 14 days, they cannot leave the hotel for tours?
Before they can first, once they check in, they have to stay. Once they take the PCR test, they'll have to stay 2 nights, at least 48 hours. If the PCR test is positive, then they will not be able to continue the tour. If it's negative, they can continue to another level 1 hotel. I repeat, to another level 1 hotel. Excursions, as we mentioned earlier, selected excursions only.
Thank you, Shranta. The next question is, what about if customers moving from a hotel to hotel wants to stop for some meals or drinks?
We have identified stops on the way. As an example, we'll say Colombo to Dambulla, it takes about 4 hours. But we have identified places in certain places, but the tourist board is yet to inform travel agents. Once we hear those, we will keep you updated.
Thank you. So the next question is, if passengers stay between 7 to 10 days, how many PCR tests will be needed?
7 to 10 days. First, if it's less than 5 days, it's 1. 7 to 10 days, 2. The other one is 10 to 12, 3 PCR tests.
Thank you, Shranta. Another question, is it necessary to stay only at the room while waiting for the results of the COVID tests?
While waiting for the results, you are free to use all the hotel facilities, except the spa at the moment, but everything else, even going to the beach, the swimming pool, all of those facilities are available while awaiting the result.
Thank you, Ishant. The next question, are there some restaurants authorized to receive tourists, or only the level 1 hotels are allowed?
Only level 1 hotels are allowed as of now.
Okay, thank you, Shranta. We have another question. Which special Ayurveda hotels are safe and secure level 1 hotels?
The one in Valigama, Ayurveda in Valigama is certified as level 1 Ayurveda hotel.
This is constantly changing, so we recommend that you visit the SLTDA website, where on a daily basis it will be updated. So there will be more hotels coming online as well. So we recommend that is checked regularly.
Thank you. I think this is our final question. Are UK citizens currently prohibited from entering Sri Lanka? How will we know when this is lifted?
Yeah, currently at the moment, it's only the UK that is restricted from coming into Sri Lanka, or UK passport holders or UK nationals, as well as anybody who has been in the UK within the last 14 days. So they at the moment are restricted, but that will also be subject to change depending on how the situation evolves in the UK itself.
Okay, thank you. We have one last question. Can we book through a wholesaler, or do we have to use the approved DMCs for hotel bookings and tours?
Yes, anyone arriving into Sri Lanka will have to use a certified DMC. Booking through a wholesaler in the country of origin is okay, as long as they in turn use a certified DMC to make the booking.
Okay, thank you, Ishant. Thank you, Shriyanta. I think that's all the questions that we have for now. And if there's any, you can send it to us at inquiries@jetwintravels.com. Now, for those who joined us late, and also for those who want to share the information with their colleagues or clients, you can view this webinar via our Jetwin Travels Facebook page, or we can send you the recorded version of this live webinar to your email address. Thank you all for joining, and we are so looking forward to welcome you back to Sri Lanka.